Morris dancing in some form or another has been around for at least a few hundred years now, but I wanted to know why this tradition had survived so long, and more importantly, who are the Morris men? I started by reaching out to my local side, the Mayflower Morris men. This group allowed me to follow them around for 5 weeks, turning up to their practices, letting me in on the inner workings of the side, and even getting involved myself, all in the lead up to St George's Day. I went in with nothing but a notebook, a camera and a dream. Well, and a video of myself watching a Morris side back when I was 11. Which oddly enough happened to be this exact group. Small world, huh? Finding the history of Morris dancing was proving to be a lot more difficult than I originally thought, with each member of the side seeming to have a slightly different version of the story.
Towards the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century.
Definitely a couple of 100 years.
I figured if I can't find one story for the beginning of Morris, I might as well find them all. I started with Julian, the squire of the Mayflower Morris men.
There are two schools of thought. One is that it arose in the early Middle Ages, from God knows where. Another one is that it's pagan and is pre-Christian. Now, as far as I can gather from my own research, the early Middle Ages theory is a non-starter because there are references to Morris that go back to, I think it's 1171. So it's way before then.
My understanding is it goes back to the 15th or 16th century in one form or another. Probably if you saw it in those days you wouldn't recognise it compared with what we're doing now.
5, 6 different versions of how old it is, where it came from. I've heard the term Morisco used. It might come out of Spain, it might be English, it might be Celtic, it might go back 1,000 years.
When you actually dance it, there are two things you're aware of. One is the symmetry in the sets and the harmony.
There are many words you could use to describe my first attempts at Morris dancing, none of which would be symmetry or harmony. Despite my impressive 60 seconds of training, I wasn't invited to join the start of this one. But my first attempt at dancing Bluebells came just before this.
The first thing is that you need to hold it roughly in the middle. Your right hand and your left hand on the bottom. The other thing...
Here's Julian explaining to me how to correctly hold the stick as to make the best sound and to not get my hands hit.
The same amount of space to hit and not your hand, you see.
That's right.
I clearly didn't listen to that second part.
If your hand is there, it's very limited space to hit, but there, it's okay. First thing is, most beginners are very afraid or nervous. So they grip the stick like hell. If you grip the stick really hard, really grip, and then I hit.
Yeah, you feel that. Right.
It's a dead, you get a dead sound, grip it.
Yeah.
Now hold it loosely,
Right.
you get a ringing sound.
Okay.
So
The sticks essentially function as the percussion for the music.
Sticking is very simple for this dance. So you hold it out. I'm going to hit first, you present. So I'm going to hit in the middle twice. If I just think of that, get the music right. Now you hit me twice. I'm going to do it again. Now I hit the top part once, and then again. So the music goes. Let's try that. Good. Right, once more. That's it.
Right.
That's it. Well, that's really the sticking from the simplest stick dance there is, and it's what I would teach every single beginner.
Okay.
So that's the first dance, the first set of sticking. So if we go back in, we'll get them to do that dance, and we can do it at the end it's that same chorus the whole time through. So it's not a problem. It's just repeat, repeat, repeat. So we can just try, and you can hear the rhythm of it in the dance. Okay. Well, that's really simple sticking. Yeah, that's really simple sticking. The flash stuff, the other stuff with all this business, you learn to do that much later. Some of them can't do that, haven't learned to do that yet, but very basic. Anyway, we can now, because they finished that one, we can go and try it. Okay? Okay. After you. After me.
I was afraid that my lack of rhythm and coordination would bring an end to my dream of becoming a Morris dancer.
And just join in with the chorus.
But clearly, I was a natural. Other than that. It was now my third week with the Morris Men and my second week of filming. The side had just 2 weeks until the show. Something that I became increasingly aware of during my time with the Morris Men was the sheer amount of rhythm you needed to partake in any of these dances. It's way harder than it looks. Re-energised and with slightly less hair than the previous week, I was ready to start again. This time I was allowed to get involved in the first part though.
Walk round.
I didn't know the lyrics, but I could certainly manage walking in a circle.
Come to the wars where the rhubarb sticks grow high. Foot up. Sticking. Half dip. Bottoms up.
Hands around me.
Double speed. Well done.
I'd just finished up my first full Morris dance, and it was bloody exhausting.
Well done.
I finally understood why most members of the side listed exercise as one of their main reasons for dancing. I then wanted to find out some more about the roles that make up the Mayflower Morris Men.
My name's Andrew Reynolds. I'm the treasurer of Mayflower Morris Men. I've been with the side now for about 15 years. Treasurer is basically just keeping all the books. Payments have to be made. We get various fees for going out and doing events. Every time we dance out, we collect money. So I've got a sack of money that I take along to the bank every Friday morning after we've danced out. We are part of what we call the Ring. And the Ring is our overarching association. And to be a member of the Ring, you have to pay a sub every year, which gives you public liability insurance, so that has to be done. It's income and expense type records. But yeah, no, it's good. I like doing it. I've done it for a long time.
My name's Julian Wyborough and I'm the Squire of the Mayflower Morris. This is my 4th time as Squire. We meet every year and we have a sort of AGM and we decide then on the various jobs within the Morris. There's Squire, which is the leader of the group. There's the foreman who teaches the site. At the moment I do both roles. And there's the bagman who is the sort of treasurer and also the secretary. And there are various other odd jobs. We decide those once a year, but if you decide to be Squire or any other job, it's expected you'll do it for 2 years, minimum.
How long have you been a part of the Mayflower Morris?
Since 1975. I was the 7th dancer.
Oh, really?
So yeah, because first of all, I thought it was a good way of getting exercise. I also really liked the fact that it was something that was typically English.
Yep.
And that it was dying out. I didn't like the idea of it dying out. So I sort of wanted to be part of that and making sure it survived. But it's important to you to keep the traditions of your town alive, so that as I enjoyed them when I was a boy, my son could enjoy them and future generations can enjoy them.
My name is Nick Saunders. I'm just a general spod, normal dancer. I am also the badger, but I forgot to bring him tonight.
The badger?
The badger, yeah. You know, we have a fool, and we have a beast. I'm the beast, which is basically a 7-foot tall badger costume with a head this size.
So what role does the badger play exactly?
I get to scare kids, creep up on adults, loom largely at people. I'm a short man, so being a 7-foot badger is amazing for me. I really like being the badger.
What can you cure? The itch, the stitch, the scratch, the gap. The pain within and the rash without. I've cured all manner of diseases. No. Bollocks. Can't cure that.
This was the final practice before the show, so this week the side focused on perfecting their performance of the Mummers play. Historically, the Mummers play is a performance put on by Morris sides on special occasions. The story is usually of a hero being killed in battle only to be revived by a doctor.
And in the south, hepatitis, mumps and scabies.
Mumming is a theatrical form of the Morris. The two go together. They normally start and finish with a Morris dance. And they're hundreds and hundreds of years old. From the content, they've got obviously St. George, and that was sort of popular in the very early 13th century.
Instead of fighting steel to scale like you might expect, our St. George instead picked somewhat of a more contemporary weapon.
I'll quench the dragon's fire with water.
A water pistol.
So lay me low, thou didst avow. Well, all right, dragon, you're for it now. You can say something in there. It's a trigger.
And the whole idea of having the Turk in it, Slasher the Turk, he is also a feature of the Third Crusade. So it goes back an awful long way, and the lines in it are traditional. So they remain unchanged for hundreds and hundreds of years, but you're allowed to ad lib.
But one thing I've learned by stealth is practice not on the national health.
So you're allowed to sort of bring in modern references and so on. And of our play, about 150 lines are just as they've been spoken, just handed straight down and repeated by us as they were, donkeys years ago. And there's about 20 lines which we include just to either reference things that are happening now, or maybe just to include a joke.
Julian also explained the original history of the play and how the church may have let in a little bit of paganism.
It's supposed to be a play on the life and death cycle and resurrection. So even though it's probably originally a pagan, when the church allowed it to continue because they saw in it a sort of replication of the resurrection. You bring someone back to life. It's actually very interesting when you look at the lines, at the traditional lines, what it's actually trying to say, because apart from being a sort of Christian interpretation of the resurrection, it's also a heathen, pagan interpretation of good overcomes evil. There you are. It's very old and it's a mad, crazy tradition, but if it's survived for 800 years, then why not try and keep it going? It's really showing people what was, getting them to connect with their past. This happened here in our high street hundreds of years ago, and it's still happening. And shouldn't we be proud of those sort of things?
Right, here is a doctor. Oh no, hang on, so you've got to put your bag on his stomach. Oh yes.
So this was it. My 5-week journey was finally coming to a close. The day we'd all been waiting for had finally come around. It was showtime on Billericay High Street. The crowds gathered around and the Mayflower Morris men did their introductions.
Apollo, it's his first time. The 23rd of April is St. George's Day, and here today we present our little play, St. George and the Dragon! Make some room! Who've come with our play, and the first to step in is St. George to win the day!
Music. In comes I, St. George, who's from old England sprung.
Oh, well, where's the friend? Wait 1 second.
I'll put to the sword any man who spoiled our fun, and I'm welcome or not.
Yay! Cool. The next to come in is a bold Turkish knight who's come from afar off with St. George to fight. His name is Slasher, of great renown and height. Bold he may be, but he's not very bright.
In comes I, Slasher by name, and Slashing my game. I'll fight St. George, who is my foe, and see him yield before I go. Am I welcome or not? Wait, Slasher. George is the name. Slasher bashing my game. Bashing indeed. There's no more to be said, for in a moment I'll fetch off your head. Take off me head! You just try it. I'll cut you up, make all buttons fly. I do not shrink. I do not shrink before your threat. And satisfaction I shall get. Come on, come on. Call yourself an Englishman. Yeah.
Come here, you. Come here. Right, name?
Slasher.
Ah.
Hang on a minute, George. I'm new to this game. Just how do you use a ball and chain? You're gonna like this. Have a look. Not yet. I'm going! I'm nearly done! But not quite! Ah! Oh!
Other way round.
Other way round. Ah!
Alas! Slasher the Turk is slain. What can I do to raise him up again? Is there a doctor who can save bold Slasher from an early grave? Doctor, doctor, come I beg. The Turk is wounded in the heart. 10 whole pounds I will surely give to the doctor who can make him live. Doctor, music. Music.
Music.
Pox and foot mouth, both in the north and in the south. Hepatitis, mumps, scabies, gallstones, warts, piles, and rabies. But one thing I've learned myself, practice not on the national health. Well, I've got pills. I've got pills, they're multicolored. It says so, pills, see? On both sides. Well, that hasn't worked either.
What do you think of him so far? Yes, that's what we think as well. Right.
I didn't hear that. Try again.
Why don't you try that bottle in your pocket?
What, this one?
Yeah, that one.
Mark whiskey. It's too good for him, and it won't work. Look, I'll prove it. There, I said it wouldn't work.
I feel better already. Help! Save me! Save me! What's that?
Slash it. Here or not? I come from the land where the dragon belches and smokes, and it drives away all the good-looking blokes. When they hear the word matrimony, they're off. I wonder. The dragon didn't be me, could it? I have clothes of the very best, posh clothes, ball gowns, and a pin-willy vest. I am fair, and I'm looking for a man that's true.
Hi, let me flee. You might eat my daughter. Or worse, you might eat me. My daughter's hand in marriage I will give to he who kills the dragon, saves my life. Live life. Oh, rugby's rugby.
Oh! shoulder. I'll quench the dragon's fire with water. So lay me low now, didst thou vow, or I dragon you're for it now. Is it raining? Yes, proud dragon, arise. Go into thine own land and tell of the bold champion that doth in England stand. 1,000 such as you I fight in order to maintain old England's right. Old England's right I will maintain and fight for England once again.
I told her the first night's the worst. My family is large and my wife is small, and I am the father of them all. Roast beef, plum pudding, apple pie. Who likes it better than I? Nobody. A jug of good ale, sir, will make our voices ring, and money in our pockets is a very good thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, be at your ease, and give us poor mamas just what you please.
And give 3 cheers out of hand for St. George and Old England. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip!
So there it is. I went from knowing nothing about Morris to becoming friends with the side, and it was a wild ride from start to finish. I learned the ins and outs of what it takes to put on a Morris performance, and I had a brilliant time meeting up with the fantastic people that make up the side. Anyway, I think that just about wraps up my time with the Morris men. For now at least. I'd certainly say that was an adventure in Morris.